get started. Oh, gavel. Call to order the November 4th, 2025 meeting of the North Andover Planning Board. Jean, could you please call roll?
Yes, Kay Kelly. Here. Sean Kevlin.
Here.
John Simons.
Here.
Eitan Goberg.
I'm here.
Peter Boyton.
Aye.
All right, first item on the agenda, bond release, 198 Dale Street. Paul and Heather Kezian request for release of a $4,000 performance bond associated with an April 26, 2022 watershed special permit. It was allowed for a driveway expansion and construction of a two-story garage with storage on the second level. Jean?
Yep. So the engineer certification letter and the as-built plan are included in the meeting packet. Deviations to the plan, to the approved plan, included a walkway leading to the rear of the addition was added on the east side of the addition. Propane tanks and HVAC unit have been added on the east side of the addition, and an emergency generator and air conditioning unit have been added to the rear of the building. The construction is complete and the site is fully stabilized.
Okay. And the things that were added were not of concern?
No, they're utilities for the most part, and a walkway.
Okay. Any questions or comments? A motion to allow the bond release for $4,000 in interest from 198 Dale Street.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. A&R Plan 0 Winter Street, Trinity Home Builders LLC. Plan proposes to combine 3 lots, map 104C, lots 110, 149, and 150 into a single lot.
So Jack Sullivan is the engineer here. It's maybe a little difficult to see, but these lighter hashed lines right here and right here are the lot lines to be removed, which is going to create one lot of 154,000 square feet. So more than meets the area, the frontage, and the access to the lot. There's an existing garage right here on one of the parcels, and the proposal is to build a single-family home on the combined lot.
And on these lots now?
It's undeveloped other than this existing garage. It's in the residential 1 zoning district, and it complies with contiguous buildable area and access from a public way. So it's the intersection of Dale Street and Winter Street. I included a locus. Hold on. I believe I included a locus. They were owned by Cashman. They've been owned by Cashman family for a very long time. They were recently purchased. So this is the intersection of Dale and Winter. This is the larger of the 3 parcels, but the one adjacent to it and adjacent to that are being combined. So all 3 of these undeveloped lots, other than that existing garage.
Okay, so they're on winter.
They're on Winter, yeah.
Yeah, I see.
It's known as 0 Winter because none of them are considered developed lots.
Yeah. And you said 150, what's is the CBA posted on the
Yep.
new lot?
Yep.
I can't remember.
It just complies with CBA.
That's the reason, Mr. Chairman, that we have to combine the 3 lots to meet the CBA requirements. So we're combining parcel 110, 149, and 150. We have the 75% minimum CBA. We were approved by the Conservation Commission, so the wetland lines are locked in. Board of Health approved the septic plan. So we're at the stage where we're applying for a building permit. We need to merge the 3 lots to 1 for the building permit application for 1 house.
So the CBA is 75.1%. It's required to be 75% of the minimum lot size. The minimum lot size is only 2 acres.
Right, yeah.
Their lot size is 155,000
Yeah.
square feet.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the A&R?
So moved.
And direct the planner to sign it.
Yes.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack.
Thanks.
All right, continued public hearing, Stonecliff Road, map 104, lots 139, 140, 141, LRC Builders, application for planned residential development, special permit for Article 8, supplementary regulations, Part 5, planned residential development, and Article 10, administration. The applicant proposes construction of a private roadway and 3 single-family dwelling units serviced by wells and septic system. No longer by wells, right?
No longer by wells.
Okay. Property is located in the residential 1 zoning district.
So the stormwater peer review has been completed and all concerns were addressed. The fire department and water department have approved the water line extension and the hydrant location. So there's a hydrant located at the cul-de-sac and the intersection with Stonecleave. The town engineer has approved the proposed berm in the right-of-way and provided some commentary to address resident comments regarding roadway runoff on other sections of Stonecleave Road. The application is still before Conservation Commission. They typically wait until this board renders a decision. A revised plan set that addresses the stormwater review comments is included in the meeting packet. I also asked that the plan further state on the notes page that the road will be private, remain private, and never accepted by the town, and maintained under a homeowners association. So that's all been added to page 2 in the notes section. The notes section also includes the list of waivers, which I included in the draft decision from the traditional subdivision rules and regs. Even though they're not filed under the subdivision rules and regs, we provided the list of waivers, which were pretty minimal. The roadway has been increased to a 20-foot width, inside curb to inside curb. And so when I was drafting the decision, I had realized the width inside curb to inside curb was only 18 feet. Outside curb to outside was 20, and the layout plan showed 20 feet. So I made sure the fire department was aware that it was 18. They came back and said that fire code requires a minimum width of 20. The plans have been updated to reflect 20 feet inside curb to inside curb. We sent that to peer review for stormwater to make sure that additional impervious surface didn't affect stormwater calcs, and we've got confirmation from the peer reviewer that it did not, that it was a minor change to the plan. So the final plan is in the meeting packet. A draft decision has been prepared. The only open item is the roadway bond amount from the engineering department. So I have an X still in the plan. The town engineer, John Borghese, has said he will have it to me within a day or two, and so I spoke to Aton this morning and suggested that if the board does entertain the decision, that the motion could include language to the effect of the planning director will enter the bond amount upon receipt, if you want to pursue entertaining the draft decision. It's a roadway bond amount on a private road, so I trust it will be acceptable. I've informed Ben that if for some reason when it comes in it's not acceptable, they'd have to come back for an insubstantial change if they want to discuss the bond amount.
Okay, and that's calculated just based on roadway costs and how much it costs to.
Once they get to binder coat, then they establish the roadway bond in order to release the lots from a covenant, and that roadway bond is to cover the cost of building out the final roadway. So the draft decision, I conditioned just like a subdivision. I conditioned a Form M for utilities, a Form I for a covenant, a Form J to release the lots from the covenant. Even though it's private and it's not subdivision rules and regs, it's structured just as though it would be a subdivision.
Related to that 18 and 20 feet, if it's 20 feet, does that make the circumference of the circle smaller than like a normal 20 foot, 4 feet? I would imagine it would be smaller.
Your normal regulation is the 100-foot pavement width on the circle. So one of the waivers is we went down to 90. And the 90 matches the fire truck turning radius, so allows them to, the 20 is an NFPA requirement for access for the fire vehicles, and then the 90 fits their radius, so
okay.
they have sufficient access.
The fire department was okay with the 90-foot radius.
Yeah, okay,
And,
no, I'm
and
fine.
again, that's
But it's
listed
just,
in the decision.
To me, small better. I mean, given it's small, I normally like islands, but I think that would, if you're already pretty small, you might not have enough room otherwise. So
Right, it gets tight on a 90.
Yeah, okay. Remind me again, did you get the Board of Health approval on the septic sides?
We've done all the soil testing, the septic designs are not submitted yet, we're just waiting to
Okay.
get through this.
Do you have that as a
It's
condition?
conditioned subject to Board of Health approving the
Yeah.
septic.
Yeah,
design.
okay.
And so we're not doing the wells, so the current plan has the, water being attached and coming down, correct?
Correct.
So if for some reason something happened with that and that did not work out, you'd have to come back and
Right.
make a modification.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, we prepared, we already have a Form A plan, because we have 3 lots, just like your previous Form A, we're gonna combine them into one.
Okay,
And on that plan, we're gonna show the easement, so that goes on record.
great.
So, again, as soon as we get through this, we can file that, and then we'll have a document to refer, I think it was a Form M you said is the utility easements.
Utility,
So then we'll have a document that we can record.
yeah. And the A&R is also conditioned prior to a building permit being issued, he needs to get an approved A&R.
Okay, Gene, are there any, comments that have come in, via email that we haven't received?
Nope.
Okay, are there any public comments to be made? Does anyone want to make any public comments regarding this hearing? Seeing none, any board questions or comments? Okay, so why don't we review the decision, and then after we've reviewed it, and are satisfied with it, then we'll close the public hearing and then we'll vote on the decision. But that way, if we have questions, we can ask them while the hearing is still open.
Gene, did you say that page 2 had the statement you made about private roadway, always private?
Yep.
I see where it says 400-foot long private roadway. Did you mean that it elaborated that it will always be private, or?
I just meant that it is a private road,
Oh, okay,
as
fine.
stated on the plan.
Yeah, okay,
But I can
thanks.
open the plan and show you those notes.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Thanks.
The note says the roadway will be a private way maintained by the homeowners and can never be accepted as a public way.
Thanks.
On the-
Can never be accepted as a public way. I'm not sure. I mean, that's fine to put it on there. I'm not sure that we could, I mean, that happens through town meeting, right? So I'm not sure that we can actually bind a town meeting, just like if town meeting wanted to accept it as a private, I mean, that may mean they can't apply for it, but if the town was like, we need this to be a public way, I'm not sure that that would be legally binding.
I think you'd have to come in and get a minor modification to the approval from the
Yeah.
planning board
If
that
they
was
wanted
sitting
to
at the
do it,
time,
but-
and then they'd have
yeah.
to apply to town meeting. You're right, I don't think you could ever just say, this is never gonna happen.
Yeah, but at least it's currently not planned and allowed. You'd have to take some other action.
Right.
Because the decision states it's private, so
Right.
if somebody wanted to pursue something different, they'd have to come back and modify that.
You know, the town, but we don't have slope granite curbing, we have a little bit smaller radius, you know, can the town snowplow make that
Yeah,
radius?
there would have
You
to
know,
be
they-
other stuff.
They'd have to probably make modifications in the future.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's just a weird, our body doesn't really have the power to bind town meetings, so.
I guess, Gene, just a quick question. Should we put in the decision something to the effect that we're extending the water line from Duncan and Stubb down to Stonecleave? I'm just thinking in terms of the eventual, maybe in the future they extend the water line down the street. don't know if we wanna be-
I think a finding of fact states that. So in 16. So 16 states additionally, the project will provide 2 additional fire hydrants in the immediate area.
I mean, do you think we should add that effectively there's a stub of the water line down all the way to Stonecleave, or you think that's too prescriptive?
I think it's too prescriptive only because I think DPW, if they were to extend it,
Yep,
may require betterment
got it.
of the residents, and I don't know that we want to get into that.
Got it,
And
okay.
so it could, very likely could require betterment,
Okay.
and that's on that.
Chair, if I can explain, there's some red lines strike out in here. You
Sure.
read in our version. That was comments that I had just on the, when I went over the document. when we got the draft. So they're, for the most part, clarification or typographical changes.
Okay, yeah. They all look fine. Are there any you want to highlight or just?
No,
Okay, great. Thank you for that. They all look good to me. Okay, anyone have any questions or comments about the draft? Can we get a motion to close the public? Oh, sorry, Peter.
We said that we're gonna fill in the roadway bond amount in paragraph 58.
So we're going to, as part of our motion
Yeah,
to approve, we'll say that that will be inserted by the planner based
Great.
on the formula from DPW.
Yep, thanks.
Okay. All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing for Stone Cleve Road?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the decision for the planned residential development for special permit for Stone Cleve Estates with the added provision that on paragraph
58.
58, the planner will fill in the roadway bond amount as established by DPW?
Yep,
By DPW based on their formula.
upon receipt.
So moved and as amended?
Give me a second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Osgood, for working through the process with us. Okay, just quickly, we're gonna do, before we do the new public hearing, discussion item 122 Foster Street, T-Mobile. Jean, there was an update about this?
Yes, so the applicant requested to withdraw. T-Mobile was not ready to complete this request for the change. They intend to come back in a year or so and to actually construct in 2027. And so they asked if they could withdraw the filing, the request.
This is the infamous one, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. We had lots of litigation and heat on this one. You don't have a whole lot of discretion on these things.
So, yeah, so for the board's edification, we did, Gene and I have been discussing this one for the whole time, but once they submitted it, we have some input from KP Law about what we can and can't do. This, for those of you that weren't here, this was it 2018 or 2019, Peter?
Both.
So in 2018, 2019, there were applications made. Ultimately, there were multiple hearings. We denied the request for a special permit. That got appealed to federal court. The federal court judge said that we were right under our bylaw and it was acceptable to deny it, but under federal law, we were wrong and could not deny it, so it got approved and it got built. And it is there today, and I still don't have cell service. And so that's the history. So that's the history of that, even though I live a block away. So,
And that it was an ideal site,
yes.
not the ideal site.
Right. And we had lots of discussions about small cells versus towers versus locations versus on different buildings. It was an educational process, I will say.
Yes.
And it probably came out better than I think, better than feared at least.
Except, still don't have cell service.
Still does that sounds yes. But I just still remember the picture from like Foster Field was so striking.
Yeah.
And it didn't really come to be that it was that bad. Okay, so either way, that request is, so yes, that's withdrawn, fine. Great. Next, new public hearing, 1591 Osgood Street, Singh Realty Group, application for site plan review, corridor development district, and inclusionary housing special permits under Article 8, Part 3, Part 13, Article 16, and Article 10. The applicant proposes demolition of the existing structure and construction of a 4-story building with a 15,290 square foot footprint. The first floor is proposed to be retail and self-storage, and the second to fourth floors are proposed to be 38 residential units, along with parking, landscaping, and associated improvements. The project is located within the Corridor Development District 3 and Residential 2 zoning districts. Jean, give us an introduction, please.
So the application is being peer reviewed not only for stormwater, but also for civil against our bylaw, because it is crossing 3 different special permits and traffic. The inclusionary zoning bylaw requires 5 of the residential units to be set aside as affordable units in accordance with Article 8, Part 13 of the zoning bylaw. The ground floor commercial space will contain a mix of uses consisting of approximately 6,500 square feet of leasable retail space and to be used for retail, office, or other similar permitted commercial uses, and approximately 8,500 square feet of leased storage space, so storage units, also on the first floor. The residential units above include a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units, so limited to 1 and 2.
Hey, Gene, how closely did you scrutinize full compliance with zoning?
I think it fully complies with zoning, but like I said, we sent it to, Hancock is gonna peer review the civil, so Joe
Okay,
Piznola.
so you went through and cross-checked everything?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Originally, we had a TRC meeting that proposed to keep Jimmy's Pizza and the associated liquor store, and this was just gonna be set behind it. In the end, what was actually applied for was to demo the front of it, clean up the entranceway, and to build the new commercial building, commercial residential mixed-use building.
Okay.
Topography on the site, I'm sure they're gonna speak to it, but topography is a little bit challenging, so it starts here, and it very quickly goes like this, and so that's all been accounted for, but that will come out in civil and stormwater.
And what kind of retail is allowed in the zoning district?
It's the corridor development district, so a lot of office, retail, it's pretty broad, and like I said, storage is also approved, and as you know, we've recently permitted 2 storage facilities in close proximity to this.
Yeah, mostly, so I definitely would like, so obviously you guys are gonna address traffic and stormwater and stuff like that, but also definitely parking, because
Yeah.
that.
So that's the benefit.
Self-storage, easy on parking, that's
That-
great.
And that's the benefit of the self-storage, is they get to minimize the parking requirement
Right.
for 8,500 square feet of the
But
commercial space.
Other different types of retail or restaurant or things like that
Yep.
could be parking issues, so that's what I'd like to hear about. Okay? Brian?
Thank you. Brian Vaughn from Smolak and Vaughn on behalf of the applicant Singh Realty Group LLC. I'll just give a brief introduction, introduce the team members that are with me tonight, and then they can talk about more of the technical aspects of the project. Tonight, Daya Singh, where's Daya? Okay, so Daya is the principal. He's with me tonight on behalf of the applicant. Additionally, up here tonight is Eric Poulin from Jones and Beach, who's the civil engineer for the project. The architect is LYF Architects. I think you guys all are familiar with Mark Yanowitz. The traffic engineer for the project was Vanass and Associates. We submitted the traffic report. They're not with us tonight, but our thought was that you could review the report, and we'd be happy to have them attend at another subsequent hearing to dig into traffic issues if we think that's necessary. So just an overview, as Gene had kind of discussed, 1591 Osgood. I think it's well known to everyone as the site of Jimmy's Pizza and the Cork Stop. Historically, there was also a miniature golf course there, which is still kind of on the site, no longer in use, and there's also a contractor yard that's located to the rear up the top of the hill. What the applicant is proposing is a mixed-use project. Redevelopment would raise the existing buildings and structures and replace it with a single, would be a 4-story building. The first floor would be commercial retail, approximately 15,290 square foot footprint on the building. the 3 stories above would be residential units, a total of 38. It's a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units. I believe it's 11 1 bedrooms and 27 2 bedrooms. It would be subject to the inclusionary zoning bylaw, so 5 of those would be affordable units. It's in the corridor development district. There is actually in the rear of the site a little strip of it that's technically in the R2 zone. However, all of the project itself is in the corridor development district. Yeah, so down on the 125 side to the front, the existing condition includes multiple curb cuts and you know, very ill-defined. If you've driven past there, there's a lot of places there where you can kind of come in and out of the paved areas. So the project would propose to consolidate the traffic to one single access point, which we think, and it would also be removing it kind of away from the light, which is a little bit further to the north.
Would MassDOT need to weigh in on that? Would you need a
Yes.
highway access permit?
Yep. So it will require a MassDOT highway access approval. Of course, as you know, that process is secondary to the local process, so it wouldn't be until we get all of the local approvals that MassDOT would actually review it in earnest. I believe there has been review it in earnest and act upon it, but I believe there's been some preliminary contact made by the engineer.
So I agree. We're not going to hold this up for MassDOT to give their approval, but given that it's right across from Osgood Landing and the Amazon and all that went into designing that and the lights and the changing of the lights and stuff like that, I think it's best to get ahead of it and not to do anything that's going to interfere with those light cycles and things like that.
Yeah, and we have, like I said, and I can let Eric speak to this. He's more qualified than I am, but we have made preliminary contact, and their response was, consider these few things, and I think we've tried to consider the few things and come back to them when we have our local approvals.
Okay.
Then, Jean had mentioned, and it is, I think, one of the features of the design is that the hill, it does really increase steeply, but it works really well for the design that the technical guys came up with, because they kind of built the structure into the hill. So it allows for kind of a natural segregation between the commercial uses to the 125 side, and then the residential access and amenities really being mostly the parking being to the rear side of the development. The requested relief was, as Jean suggested, the site plan review special permit, corridor development district special permit, and then inclusionary housing special permit. The one other thing we should mention is there are some wetlands to the rear of the site, so it also requires a Conservation Commission action. We applied for an NOI, and we needed wetlands order conditions because we're within the 100-foot buffer, but I believe we've kept everything outside of the 50-foot buffer. I think the only other thing I would mention is we did request a couple of waivers. The first just being with respect to the landscape architect. The architect that Jones and Beach typically uses and had used here, although not licensed as a mass architect, is very well qualified, over 20 years experience, I believe, just does not have a stamp in mass. So we've requested a waiver there. We've requested the Commonwealth review and community impact waivers, which I think are somewhat typical, as well as having requested a waiver from the requirement to do a fiscal impact study. This project, while it is considerable, it's also located in a place where it's on a very well-developed state highway. I think the key issues really in that regard are going to be traffic, and the increases in traffic are not considerable relative to the roadway that's available to it. So I think just the one thing I would touch up on quickly, just because you guys had been talking about it, the commercial uses, that's almost a tail wagging the dog, because it's really, the project's driven by the residential market right now. What will the commercial uses be? It's going to be market driven, but we're considering a relocation of the cork stop into possibly one of the retail units. The fact that we've got the storage really in part is driven by parking. If there were going to be any change, we would of course have to run it through the building department, make sure.
But Brian, you don't need to give us tenants or stuff like that, but the type of businesses that are there, doesn't that affect how you calculate the traffic and also how you
Yes.
also how you calculate the parking?
It
right?
does,
Because
but
if it's a
so-
restaurant versus a business that's open 9 to 5, let's say it's a business that's open 9 to 5. Let's say it's a bank. It's not. I really hope it's not a bank, but let's say it's a bank and it's open 9 to 5. Then it's at opposite times when people are expected to be at work, right? So then you can better share parking spaces or something like that. If it's a restaurant that's open at night when people are home and people are parking there, versus a restaurant where some people are going, or versus the cork stop, which is more kind of in and out throughout the day, those would alter your traffic counts as well as your parking requirements, right? So, I mean, I think we have to have at least a sense of what it could be,
Well,
versus not necessarily what it is, but what it could be, to give us the broadest possible amount of traffic and the broadest amount of parking that might be needed.
As it's designed, we're seeking the approval for the commercial retail, 6,500 square feet, plus or minus. The parking requirements for that, I believe, are 6 spaces per 1,000 feet. So it does qualify. With the storage space, they're much less. So what we're asking for approval for qualifies. It's been designed to meet the current parking requirements without the need for any type of a special permit. And I guess what I'm saying is we're comfortable with those uses. Now, we could potentially, it's also one of the reasons why we're not looking for a residential, a restaurant use here, because of a more significant parking demand. Now, if in the future we were to look to change the mix, we'd have to make sure that it complied then. And there are ways where it might, for instance, there are some retail uses which are less than this 6 per 1,000 square feet.
One of the things we think we do, because my sort of initial impression of this is it feels tight already, and we haven't gotten into the details yet, but it would seem to me, Gene, you could do the math of what's the worst case, and I think the reason why I think it's important to do that is, hypothetically speaking, could you scale from this design to the worst case? Is it even feasible given the site topography and layout and so forth? So
So I think the worst case would be if all 6,500 square feet or so was restaurant space,
Yeah.
because that's the most intensive use. But the board has also in the past conditioned that there be no restaurant unless you come back to modify your special
Yeah,
permit. So McClay's development was like that. There was a condition for Messina's Plaza.
Right.
Or,
That if you're
or
gonna-
you can have a certain amount, and then if it gets
Yeah,
above a certain.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could,
So-
but that's, I think Doug's point is, I think it's a good idea to come in with your request as meeting zoning and meeting the parking regulations, but I'd like to know what the worst case scenario is, to John's point of just, okay, if that ever happened, are we still okay, right? Not that we're necessarily permit it now, but I think I'd like to know that, knowing that that's not what you're requesting, just to know what that is. But it's good to know that if you're not currently looking for it,
Yeah.
just we may condition that's what we're approving, and that if it ever changed, maybe
Yeah,
after a
and
year.
to be clear,
Yeah.
we would be very comfortable with a condition that, that we couldn't alter from those uses except with the approval, or as,
But here's the thing, my point of raising this is that if you take the worst-case situation based on your design and the physical topography, you may not have any capability of expanding beyond that. That's the point of what I want to know is, have you boxed yourself into a situation where you can't do anything different than what you're proposing?
I mean, no, I mean, you could always make the entire first floor storage, I suppose, and you reduce your parking requirements,
well, that's
right?
my
I mean, there are
point
other
is-
things, right? I mean,
What
we
I
don't-
want you to be, the awareness is that if you ever expanded the use, do you even have the physical capability of putting more parking on the site, given how tight it is? That's my point, is that, I don't think you have to like boil the ocean on this, but
Right.
you ought to come to some realization of, with this design, this is as much as we could ever do on this site, and just
Right.
be aware of it.
And I understand, but I would also just suggest that, and one other thing is that there is also contemplation for a parking special permit, which considers such things as the varied uses, right? Because when you have the commercial use and the residential use, there's probably some interplay where you could have available parking, after hours in the front lot, or, at certain times during the day in the rear lot. So there are other things, but we have intentionally designed it without asking the board for any relief on special
And
permit
that's
for
fine.
parking.
I mean, because
Right.
what I can't tell from this, and I
Yeah.
know you'll get into it, is if this is steeply rising, how deep a cut into the hill is the parking, and do you have retaining walls, and, I mean, what's it look like? And maybe we should just get into that. And
Yeah, I was going to say, and the better person to talk about that, probably without further ado, would be the guy sitting next to me rather than me.
Did you have
Probably.
something, Peter, before? Okay.
Did you say that the architect does not have a license or a
No,
stamp?
that was the landscape architect, I'm sorry.
Aha,
The
Yeah.
landscape architect.
Yes, yes, yes,
In
Thank you.
Massachusetts.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
That would be a big one.
that-
I wouldn't ask for that one.
That's fine. Okay, all right, yeah, no, I mean, I think, so why don't we keep moving? I just think again, this is something we say, and I'm sure you've heard us say it many times, we don't want to lock you in because we know market issues change and things like that, and, by the time you get permits and build, things might be different, but the more information you can give us, the better, because that helps us determine whether or not parking is appropriate, whether or not the traffic analysis, and gives us comfort in that we're making the right analysis based on the facts that we're given. So that's
My
helpful.
my other question was, you talked briefly about the traffic analysis. Does it, and I mean, I'll be interested in getting a briefing on that, if the rest of the board is, but does it take into account left turns for this many cars coming out on that roadway?
It does consider both left and right turns.
Yeah.
So.
Do people turn left out of it?
I don't know, I mean, it's gonna really be a heck of a challenge.
If you have 38 residential units, you got to assume they're going to be going both directions.
Yeah, no, I
I mean,
I
it's
honestly, I
upwards
haven't-
of 70 cars
I
trying to
haven't-
get out there.
No, I just haven't been. I don't really go to Jimmy's Pizza, I would say, so I don't think I've ever eaten there, and I don't think I've been to the liquor shop there. So I just don't recall ever driving by and see someone turn left out of there, because
Yeah,
that's a little scary of a turn.
yeah. So I think we ought to get the separate briefing on that
Yeah.
traffic.
And
Yeah,
can I,
and it is also being subject to a traffic peer review study as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, VAI's done a full analysis on that, and we can make sure they're in attendance
Well,
at the next
but
meeting.
there's two things about it, and then we'll get to you guys. One is how many cars is it going to have, right? On that corridor with Amazon and stuff like that. I don't think it's going to be a big driving, and what's there now. I don't think there's going to be much of a difference. But I think to Peter's point more are more people going to be making turns, and are those safe? That's more of my concern on that.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, let's keep
Thank
going.
you.
so I just wanted to ask a question about the residential, just to set this up. The residential is intended to be rentals? It's just going to stay as rental units and,
Yes.
Yes.
okay. And
Will you give us the mix of units and all that kind of stuff as we
this
go?
one bedrooms and
Yeah, I
One
believe it's
and two.
11 one-bedrooms
Yep.
and
27.
27 two-bedrooms.
And there's about 2 parking places for each unit? Is that what, 38 units and 71 parking?
There's 1.5 spaces per unit for 1 bedrooms, and then 2 spaces per unit for 2 bedrooms. So we ran that calc and made sure we had sufficient parking to cover that in the rear of the development. Yep, so per the town regulations, we have sufficient parking for all those residents.
And is there shared spaces between the commercial and residential, or, I mean,
No.
in the count?
Yeah, so
No,
we've,
not on the count.
Okay.
We've designed it entirely, and that was
Exactly.
my point earlier
Right.
with John, is that one of the things that we did talk to the client about was, it's not just getting something past the planning board, it's making sure you have something that's workable for you, because, you've got to market it, you've got to put tenants in there, and then you've got to police the issues between your tenants. So they're comfortable with it, and we've designed it in a way where we've segregated it and we haven't overlapped it.
Well, I
But-
think- yeah.
yeah, we see that as a benefit because the residents now have their own parking field that's completely separate from commercial. So they'll have that level of privacy and less interaction with commercial, users coming in and out.
And I think you have to for this particular project, because it's not like this is downtown on Main Street where if, oh no, I didn't get a parking spot, I could go park on the street. That
Right.
doesn't exist on 125, right? So you have to be able to fit everybody. And the last thing that the owner wants is a tenant calling at midnight saying, someone's in my parking
Yeah.
spot and I don't have a spot, and then people being towed and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
we
So, yes,
we
you
even
wanna
have
avoid that.
2 extra spaces out back
Okay.
over what is required. So we even have 2 visitor spaces, and then we have a bank of ADA compliant parking right by the front door. So we really tried to make sure that there's sufficient comfortable parking for the residents, because there's, like you said, there's really no other option. So I mean, you're either parking there or you're stuck. So we made sure there was sufficient parking there.
Okay, Ryan, can you tell us what you are?
Yeah, I'll dive into the site plan. So just jumping in from where Brian left off. So we made sure we had a nice clean driveway access point, which isn't there now currently. You come into the site, and then commercial users will take a left, and we have a nice square bank of commercial parking for the front commercial users. You'll see a dumpster pad for those users in the top left corner, which will be enclosed. You'll see 2 loading areas to the north and south of the building. So the southern one will be a nice pull-off area. The self-storage unit is on the south side of the building, so that'll be a nice pull-off area for like a U-Haul truck or someone with a truck loading and unloading from their unit, they can pull off and have a sidewalk connection point to that doorway so they can get in and out nicely. And then there's also a loading zone area to the north, and that is to help facilitate deliveries and pick up, drop off for those retail users in the front.
So, and the self-storage is in the front?
Yep, so that's, well, the self-storage is so what Gene's circling there, that leg of the building on that southern half of the building, on that first floor will be that storage use. And then there's 3 retail units, 100, 101, and 102 you can see on the screen there. Those are the 3 retail bays.
So are there places, or if you could locate the place for, sometimes with self-storage, you bring in a U-Haul truck or something like that. Is there places specifically for that kind of larger vehicle where you might be moving stuff in or out of the
Yeah,
self-storage?
so that's the intent. So they can use those parking spaces right out front for just like a vehicle or a pickup truck. But if they have something a little larger, that's the intent of that loading pull-off area. They can come in and
Where's the entrance to the
right there.
No,
Yep.
from the street?
So yeah, the doorway to the
Okay.
is right on the corner of the building there, right by the loading zone. And there's a tip down there and a sidewalk, so they can like do a dolly, get up onto that sidewalk and get to the front door and get to their storage unit.
How many storage units are we talking about?
Well, you know, those get divided up, as you, we show a total of 60, on the architectural, A100, but, has an interior layout. And they're of different sizes, 8 by 6, you know, is the smallest one, and then they go up to 10 by 10.
So the space for one vehicle to pull over, to load or unload, and you have 60 storage units?
So there's one large pull-off loading zone for a large vehicle, and then they also have the use. They have several of those just standard parking spaces along the front of the building.
On the commercial side?
On the commercial side,
Okay,
that are
thank you.
allocated for that use
Thank
as
you.
well.
If I remember from the last couple storage applications, it does seem like there's maybe 2, 3, 4 people using the units at any one time. It doesn't seem to be a lot.
Yeah, it's
No,
very
more
low
than one.
frequency.
More than one, but not like 20, you know?
Yeah.
I
But
think,
there's no gating or anything like that on the storage units, is there?
No, well, they're completely enclosed in the building, so I imagine there's going to be some level of door access security
building.
to the building and to get into that space.
But
of
there's
the building.
nothing for the cars.
No, they'll be there, intermingling with the other commercial parking field. It's one shared parking field. Yeah.
but that's something to consider then based on that. It may be you may want to have a gate or something like that for people going into the residential. I just put in a code or something like that to get in.
Yeah, we could think about that.
I don't think it's something that we
Yeah.
need. I don't think it's something that we necessarily need to dictate, but a lot of apartments do have that. Just
Yeah.
when they do have mixed use, that's separate. But
I think 99% of the commercial users are going to just hook that immediate left and go into that parking field. Maybe every once in a blue moon you might have someone accidentally go up that hill out back, but they can quickly come back down. One nice thing about the project is we've got 360-degree access around the building, so we've got circular traffic motion. We'd like to keep that open, so box trucks doing deliveries can come up and come down and circle around the building and get where they need to be. So my hope is that intermingling of commercial and residential will be very low, because the gut reaction of someone trying to get to one of those commercial users is to hook that at first left.
People want to park as
yeah,
little as they can from their car to the door, so.
And how big is the loading zone for trucks?
I don't have a dimension. I think they're 8 foot wide, and I believe they're about 30 to 40 feet long.
Okay.
on those pull-offs. I don't have an exact dimension on it, but
Is there snow removal, piling set,
Removal or storage?
removal or storage?
Yep,
or
so
a plan or a
those
location?
those little clouded pockets are areas of snow storage.
Okay.
I got about 10 of them spread around the site that, I overlaid that on top of the landscaping to make sure I was intermingling with it and not dropping on top of any of that landscaping. So you can see that spread around the site. So then you come up that left side, and then we have a large parking field for the residents. The entranceway to the residence is kind of in that inside elbow. That north easterly corner. Yep, right where Gene's cursor is, where the handicap parking spaces are. Right on that corner.
Double doors.
Yep, double doors on that corner. Gene, if you go a little bit to the right.
Here?
To the right. It used to be in that elbow. Sorry, I misspoke. On the right there. That's the main entrance to the residential units there. Yep, you're on it. So that's where the handicap accessible spaces are. Sidewalk, and then a large bank of parking for the residents, and then a double dumpster enclosure to the back right there for the residents as well. Jumping over to the grading and drainage plan. So the site does consistently climb up as you go from front to the rear of the property. So the building is a split level building. So the first floor, looks like the normal face of a building from the front, but that first floor actually keys into the ground, and you climb up to the second floor to the rear of the site. So on the back of the building where the residential is, you actually walk into the second level of the building. So we did that because this site's got some pretty healthy grade climb from front to back. So rather than fighting it, we decided to try to work with it. So that's why we went with a split level building. So you can see the contours climbing up those two sides on those access roads, getting us up to that back pad level.
Does that mean that in the front, there's effectively 4 stories, and in the back 3?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it'll have that appearance. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It'll have that appearance.
Okay. And what about the sides?
So the sides, you'll see you'll see a transition. You'll see the grading kind of start to climb up and terminate to the rear of those sides as that grade climbs along the building. So the front face will be 4, the back 3, and then on the sides you'll see that grading kind of terminate to that and transition to that 3-story look.
What abuts the property to the rear?
So the rear that's a section of, excuse me, we're going to leave it as undisturbed wooded area. That's that residential zone that we mentioned. You can see it there. We're going to leave that as a buffer because behind that's a neighborhood.
Okay.
Stanton Way.
Stanton Way,
Okay.
yeah.
It's a subdivision.
And, yeah, before we're done, we need to see where the closest house is. Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
My question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but we are going to leave that as big of a undisturbed wooded buffer as we possibly can, because we do know there are residents to the rear of us.
And is that sloping up?
Yeah, so that just keeps climbing. So that neighborhood actually sits above us to the rear there. So that grade just continues to climb up that hill.
What's the height of the retaining wall?
I have no retaining walls. On the building, the foundation of the building will act like a retaining wall as the grade comes up. But I don't have any retaining walls on the property. I do have, which Gene's pointing to them there, some proposed riprap slopes. So those are engineered steep slopes because on those 2 pinch points I was unable to hold a 3-to-1 slope grassed. So I went with an engineered riprap slope. So I went up to 2-to-1.
From the back of the building, say where it's, where it sticks out, so it's furthest to the edge of the parking, what's the rise?
This is 7180.
Yeah, so there's
This is 7460.
yeah. So from the if we're talking about the rear parking field, from the building to the back edge
Yeah.
of the parking field, it's a couple feet. It climbs a couple of feet.
A couple?
Yeah, so it'll be
71
Where's the steep topography then?
on the side. So if you look to the southern property line, you'll see a gray hatching on the southeasterly corner of the residential area where Test Pit 6 is. Gene, if you go to the right, and then that riprap rock slope area. Yep. So that hatched area is a 2-to-1 riprap slope.
But the elevation here is 7180, right?
Yep.
And the rear of the parking is 7440.
Yep.
So it's relatively flat for that part.
Yeah, the parking field has got a couple
Now, how
percent
about from the back of the
pitch.
building to the front of the building? What's
that's
the
different.
topography change there?
So right here is 60 for elevation, where my cursor is. The
Yeah,
back of the
so-
building is 71, so 11
Right.
feet,
Okay, so the
That's-
steepness is where the building is, not where the
which
parking
is why you gain that floor, so it's
Right,
3 to
right,
the rear.
but that's what I mean, the steepness of the site is where the building is, not
Yeah,
where the parking
yeah.
is.
So rather than there being a consistent slope, we've kind of two-tiered it. So there's the front flat pad where the commercial parking is. There's a back residential pad where the residential parking is, and then the building is kind of where we snuck that grade differential.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. So we do have 2 wetland pockets. Our wetland scientists flagged those. Conservation Commission went out and confirmed those with a site walk. We are going to file an NOI and go to Concom. We're going to file this month. We'll be before them in December just to start that dialogue. The nice thing that we have is there's currently a impervious laydown yard back there that is closer to the wetland than what we're planning on doing. So we're going to have the benefit of being able to take out some of that impervious that's in that 50-foot buffer. We're going to remove it, get it back to a vegetated state, and adhere to that 50-foot impervious wetland buffer that's currently not being adhered to. So for stormwater, we're going to use deep sump catch basins, which then are directed to isolation rows into subsurface infiltration systems for heavy sediment removal, and then that stormwater will then get finally treated with infiltration in those 2 subsurface systems, and then we discharge into the municipal stormwater system. There's a lot of impervious out there currently with no stormwater treatment. We actually only have a 10,000 square foot impervious increase from what's there now to what you're seeing on this paper. And we're going from all of that not being treated to we're going to treat all of this stormwater to state and local spec. So it really will end up being a massive stormwater quality improvement to what's there now. Jumping to utilities, C4. This is pretty straightforward. We're lucky to have municipal sewer, municipal water. There's gas and electric available out on Osgood Street. We're going to utilize the existing municipal water and sewer and tap that. We're going to have a sprinkler system. So we'll bring in a 6-inch ductile iron fire main and then a domestic line. And then we'll tap municipal sewer and bring in sewer out front there. We do have utility pole out front. We'll do a drop down and then bring in underground electric to a transformer pad. And then, like I said, we have municipal gas, so we'll tap that and bring in gas as well.
So Eric,
Yeah.
DPW water and sewer comment was, they've left 2 stubs in
Yep.
the sewer line we just laid. You were proposing to tie in a different area.
Yep.
He's encouraged you to tie in to one of the 2.
Yep.
And are you able to do that?
Yeah, so we did just get that comment from the Water and Sewer Department, so I'm gonna look into that with the Water and Sewer Department and locate these stubs and do everything I can to accommodate that request and tie into those. They should be sufficient size. I'll confirm that with the Sewer Department. And so then that way we can eliminate having to cut into the road and utilize an existing stub. I tried to do that on the existing water stub, but we need to bring in municipal. We need to bring in a fire main, so we got to bring in a 6-inch line for the sprinkler system. And what was there now was like a 1-inch domestic for the existing restaurant use. So we can use that for our domestic use, but we have to tap for fire. So we do have to do that. Moving on to lighting and landscaping. So our landscape architect tried to use a nice mix of trees, shrubs, grasses, perennials, any locations we could fit it in. Try to get plantings around the perimeter, emphasis on the front for street appeal, and then shade trees where we could on internal islands. We did have some initial consultation with Concom, and we are going to tweak a couple of the species in coordination with their desired list. So we're working on that now. Standard commercial, dark sky compliant lighting, and we have a nice lighting configuration here. We'll be able to provide adequate lighting for safe movement and parking.
Could you guys do some photos of the actual site and also the foliage, the trees to the back, where going towards whatever neighbors there are? My memory of driving past there is that it's pretty thorough, but I'd like to see that as well as in comparison to a map of where the closest neighbors are.
Yeah, yep, we can certainly do that.
Any plans for a fence along the rear perimeter, the rear line, just to provide a little more buffer for that neighborhood? I know you've got a treed area there.
Yep.
I mean, I saw it. Can you go back to the landscape plan? See, you've got 4 trees back there, and it's also a wooded lot, so I know we've probably got some good screening there, but any thought of a fence along there?
Yeah, we could look into that. We do have about an 80-foot deep existing wood buffer,
Okay.
which will help
Or a berm, maybe. I mean,
a significant amount.
Or a berm,
Yeah.
even better.
I mean, I guess a couple of points on landscaping. One, my personal opinion is riprap always looks like crap, and I think you got to do better on that. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not quite sure what the answer is, but you put riprap on slopes over that much of the thing, it's just not going to look very good. The other thing is that you're right, the curb appeal in the front, I think, is really pretty important. Over the years, and Brian, you would know this pretty well, is that on a lot of the projects we've done, we've really worked pretty hard, like with low fences, whether they're picket or something else, hedges, or just something that is attractive along the whole front, and just interspersed trees. I don't think it's quite enough, and I think it's important to do a little bit better in the front. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I think, although, just to John's point, I think although this is on a major road and it's across from a major warehouse, I think it benefits the town, but it also benefits the residents of this to make it feel a little more homey. And I think you kind of can do that with a little bit more, like with fencing, with hedges, it's nice to have the interspersed trees here and there, but that seems to be more for just kind of the sake of having them. Whereas if you kind of expand it a little bit, I think it would really add more of a residential feel to it, which I think is important when you're kind of plopping it into a commercial area.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I think it's a great idea to have a mixed-use residential here, like it's on the highway, it doesn't add much traffic, it's close to the different highway. I think it's a great idea. I just think you need to work a little bit harder when you're doing it in a non-res. Sometimes if you put this in a neighborhood, you'd have to like work harder like the opposite to make it like less, like make it kind of fade in. Here, I think you have to kind of do the opposite and make it so, hey, this is kind of like a little oasis of residences in this kind of business area.
Yeah.
And then with respect to the lighting plan, I mean, it'd be good to understand kind of where the light leakage is in relation to the nearest house, right? And it's just hard to see from this plan.
So those are the lumens, right?
So it's 0 when you get out here. So they're ending it at 0 on their own property line.
Yeah, so,
Where did the zero start? I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
yeah, so I'll make sure I add the house location on
Yeah.
that lot behind us so we could have some context to our distance, but it is up by that north arrow, past the north arrow. So we're pretty well away from them, and there's no light spillage off their way.
What's the approximate distance in feet from the house outside that north arrow to your project line there?
Yeah, so it's about 200, I believe it's about 250 feet from our back edge of disturbance to where that house is. I can get an exact distance for us.
Great, thank you.
I'll make sure I make note of that.
Looks like there's they're kind of all tucked away. But there's one here on, looks like there's a house there. There's
Well,
one here.
That's gonna be,
Yeah.
these are gonna
Yeah.
be the closest. probably.
Yeah. And there's over here. I mean, they're all kind of tucked away, but in the woods. But yeah. Okay. Oh, that's helpful. Thank you, Gene. That's very helpful.
Yep, so there's our lot
This
right
one,
there.
right?
Yep, and then there's that house on
This is the house.
61-124.
Not quite yet, but you will have a chance. Is that your house? Is that your house?
No, that's what I was saying, because it looked like he was further, my house was like right there, so I was just wondering where I fall into all of it.
Okay, we'll
I
go-
just want to see it. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, actually, yeah, since we're doing that, why don't you come up and let's do that now.
I just
So
want to
it's
see.
120 to the property line, and they're
Yeah,
well
just
over.
come
Come up to that line there. What's
I'm
your
just
name?
curious, because when they were
Hold on,
talking about,
What's your name?
Mark Valentino,
Okay, and what's your address?
1615,
What?
no, Osgood Street.
Okay, so let's see if we can find that.
Yeah.
Let's find 1615.
I was trying to understand it when I saw the big map, I just couldn't tell where I was on it.
Yeah. There you are.
Actually, I'm sorry, the house is 1609, but my garage is in front of it, 1615, and the house is behind it.
So this is the house that he's referred to.
Okay, and the project is next door?
This is Jimmy's Pizza, so it's throughout this area.
Yep, so it's pretty much next door to you.
Are you in the commercial district? Is the house in the commercial district?
The house is in the residential, the garage is commercial. Two separate lots.
Is the garage, is that the,
It's
Computer
it's all
store?
CDD.
Yeah, North Andover Auto Computer, yeah.
But it's all CDD 3.
okay.
I know it's a residence, but the zoning is, the pink area is all CDD 3. So though it's a house, it is in the commercial development district.
So, Mr. Valentino, you're there all the time. What's the kind of normal traffic and noise and stuff like that from the site currently?
Not bad.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, this is pretty much next door. We can definitely,
I just worried like about the lighting and the fencing and, you know, and where the snow's gonna melt to, and that's
Yep.
all, just a regular stuff, it's no big
Yep.
deal.
So
Other than
those
that,
are
I'm
all
for
things that, as we go through the process, we always try to make sure about light spillage, that it remains on their property. We did go through snow storage, and is there any fencing or anything like that in between the two properties now?
There's no fencing now, no.
Okay. Okay. All right, that's something we'll look at as we kind of go forward, whether there should be anything, and what kind of screening, kind of trees they're proposing along that border.
Do you turn left out of your property ever?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you can do it, it's a little more challenging, there's no doubt about that, but there's always a gap. There's
You're
always
still
a
here to
gap.
tell the tale. Okay. All right, great. Well, thank you for that. If there's anything else as we go, just please let us know.
So John, the measurement from the house to the R4 line, the end of the R4 line is about 180 feet. And they're not building within that R4 line. So.
All right. Let's continue marching on.
Yep, so, At this point, I'm pretty much
Just on
done,
the-
but
Okay, so on this lighting one, when you come back, so
Yeah.
we talked about the house to the north, if you could also do the house to the Haverhill side, to Mr. Valentino's house.
oh
just
yeah,
to-
yeah. So if we look,
If we could just,
we could touch. Yeah, we could
if we
touch
just
that.
put it on them, put it on here, put it like overlay it on.
Yes, yeah. I'll all the structures in close proximity. I'll lay those on, even if it's just an overlay and I can get us an approximate location.
So,
I can
Mr.
do
Valentino,
that.
what these numbers are, these are called lumens or light. That's basically what light spillage is coming off the property. When it's zero, and then it increases as it's closer to the property. So it looks like at the property line, these are suggesting that it's about 0.1, which is almost nothing at the property line.
0.4 is moonlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we want to see. But I'd like to see. We'll have for next time. We'll have them put up your property on
Yep.
the map so we can see that.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So obviously, if there's any site-specific engineering questions, I'm here, happy to answer them. Mark,
Okay.
if Mark wanted to come
Yep.
up and give us just a quick overview of just the building itself,
We would like that.
we can move on to that.
Great.
Should be the next couple slides after some of the details.
Yep.
There you start to see elevations. I could zoom out, yeah. Well, that's just a cover sheet elevation. To the right is the ground level, where you see the,
Can you
Yeah,
back to the prior one, Gene? I think, does that, yeah, you're working off of that, right? So,
So it's the cover sheet of the elevations, but that's the front elevation with.
that's the
That's the
front
front
elevation, and you
elevation.
start seeing the driveway on the right.
then the driveway on the right, and this is what you were saying, is that where it goes from 4 to 3.
Right, so this is the front
Right,
elevation,
and-
commercial doors down below.
We'll have all four elevations in the next couple of slides, that you'll see the grade change. So just orientation of the plan, again, that on the plan on the right is the ground level. You see the double doors in the lower right, that's the lobby entrance for the self-storage. And then that's how the storage lays out. And then, as mentioned, we have 3 potential commercial tenants facing Osgood there. Again, the right side of that plan is all built in to the hill, so that then the left plan, you'll see in the upper right corner, or where the lobby entrance is, the upper right of that L, kind of right to your right, yeah. So that's the entrance from the back parking into,
Entering the second floor, so it's
and that's,
identified
and you're
as
on the second floor.
So is
With-
that,
with
so
overhead.
when you enter the residences, it goes right in, it's
You're on the second floor.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, got it.
And then, as you see, the second floor has kind of bay cantilevers that are designed to overhang the commercial entrances as kind of canopies for kind of weather protection at exterior doors. And you're seeing the mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms, the blue being the 2-bedroom units, the more brown color being 1 bedroom. And if you go to the next slide, that's the second floor. This is the 3rd and 4th floor. Again, it's that L shape. We have some kind of common activity area in the inside corner of each one. There would be elevator. Everything is accessible on all levels, and it is basically that 1 and 2 bedroom mix.
Also, Gene, so I don't necessarily have a problem not doing a full fiscal impact, but can we at least have a school calculation?
I've
saying-
sent it to the school, I haven't heard back yet, but
Okay.
I'll follow up.
Thank you.
The next sheet.
Stair 2 has an exit out to at the bottom. It has-
Yes, both, there's 2 stairs, so 2 means of egress, both, and drop you back onto the rear parking.
Okay.
So, easy access, and the residents would have that option of using the stair entrance or coming through the lobby and using the elevator. The next slides go to the elevations. That is, you see, the lower one is the commercial, the 4-story. And then the upper one is really the rear of the property. And it truly is a 3-story building at the rear. So we've again built into the hill so that it's on that rear side. It's just a 3-story apartment. And it looks.
What's the height mark? 45, right?
Yes, it's a little over 30 on the rear and a little over 40 in the front. So if we took, the average of the 4s, we're going to be in the mid-30s.
What have you got on the roof?
The roof is a parapet. It's a flat roof with roof drains, and we would be having probably condenser units for the apartments.
Will they be visible?
I'm sorry? Would they be visible? Not from the street. They would be, I don't think the house is behind because even with the elevation, the tree coverage would probably cover that. But
Well, is that where you were going?
Yeah,
Yeah, because that's my issue too, yeah, from the back.
Berm or whatever.
You're higher
Yeah,
and you look down and you see utilities on the roof, that's a problem.
yeah.
so, and of course, we could screen those as well for the mechanical screening. But be heat pump units that are approximately 3 feet high or something. So, it'd be pretty much an all-electric building, except for maybe some gas on the commercial. But there would be heat pump condensers up on the roof.
I should know this, but are any electric car chargers required for the parking?
According to building code, there are.
Yeah.
How many?
We'd have to do the calculations for that.
Is it like
but
1 per 10 or 1 per 12?
Yeah, we'll make sure that's identified, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'd be
we'll look into that.
adding that.
I just know, that that's a new requirement and good to have. Required to have.
Having an electric vehicle, you know that.
Who pays for it? Is it gonna be a machine you put your card in, or is that?
I don't know how it
No,
works
I
at
think-
like apartments. Is that provided or not provided?
It's a charge.
Yeah, it's
Typically,
usually a charge point and
yeah, and anyone in the public's able to access it, but it's usually a credit card type of thing. And I know certain commercial property owners are being hit up all the time that they can just put them in front of their properties, or on their properties and
right.
charge the
Right.
public. Yeah. So it's kind of like a revenue business model as well. You can see the side elevations, which kind of show that grade and kind of making up that that 1 story built into the hill. We're showing a mixture of materials. We have a brick kind of foundation. The lower commercial level will have brick elements. Then we're bringing into different colored, likely fiber cement siding and painted trim, and trying to give it some character of different siding panels and so forth.
Do you have any, maybe some pictures of similar things? Just,
Can we see that? I think there are some.
There's we do have a color.
I'm not wild about that. This seems like a little bit of a mishmash.
So
I can't tell what it is completely, but
So I guess here's my. I like that it has contrasting styles and the different contrast between kind of some of the out and some of the in. This does seem very much like the kind of modern apartments that we're kind of seeing. The only thing I wondered is if there was an opportunity for, and none of these are just renderings, but just for some more, I don't know, different color choices or something just a little more engaging maybe. But I think this is kind of the normal model that I think I'm seeing out of most kind of newer smaller apartment complexes, which is fine. I think it fits the. I mean, I think you're limited because you have to in the space
Yep.
of what you can do.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know if there might be an opportunity for more, I don't know, different types of colors or something.
Yeah,
with that.
maybe it's the color, maybe you're right,
Yeah.
that's the color.
We can certainly, we're open to studying that.
But it would be helpful if you did have any other examples of what it would be similar to. I just find that an easy
Yep.
way to do it if you have any pictures of projects you've done or other buildings
Mhm.
that have a similar look and feel. It just gives us a sense of what it would look like.
Yeah, in addition to that, it would be helpful for me, like, at least to understand the massing in relation to, like, the two parcels next to it, right? Just to understand in terms of context on, I guess, how big the structure is in relation to the abutters to the left and the right.
Just on a scale.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the activity rooms inside, is that like a little gym, a little, those kind of, is that?
Yeah, there would likely be a gym, possibly, kind of a WeWork or office conference where people, hybrid live-work spaces are very popular now. And so it'd be an amenity for the residential tenants.
So I think that's a great idea. One of the things that I've seen in other designs is when you have those areas, oftentimes they're kind of in corners, all right? If to use glass, either roofs or windows, to have kind of a larger glass a way to let in light, and that sort of helps kind of with some of the massing as well as some of kind of breaking up some of the, I don't know, formulaic nature of this. So I'm not exactly sure where yours are, but I've seen that in other projects of trying to use that activity area as a way to, not only as that amenity itself, but as a way for the architecture to use lighting and things like that to kind of as an added element. So just something I've seen in other ones. I have no idea if it's possible. Not an architect, but figured I'd throw that out there.
Duly noted. Be happy to give you some examples.
That would be awesome.
And we've done a number of other projects in town too. So
Okay, yeah, it would be great to see which ones.
Mark did Bradstreet School redevelopment, and he did Fajetta redevelopment in front of Princeton Properties, that commercial development. Those were through Mark's firm.
Okay, so
and even Brad Street on Main, which
Yeah.
is 70 Main Street, just down the street, where Golden Seal Apothecary, the dentist.
yeah, so that's one of my favorites, and I love that's more white, right? With some, like, it's kind of the opposite of this. This one's kind of like the darker with the white kind of interspersed, where this one's kind of the opposite. I kind of like that look with more of the white with then the color interspersed. Because that's one of my favorites, and also there is a lot of kind of light coming into it, and it just is very appealing as a walker and a driver. The one with where the golden seal is.
So as you come down the street here, you're going to be able to see on one side the old Western Electric facade and the grounds in front, and then this on the other side. And do you take into account at all that interplay visually, or no?
Yeah, certainly context like that is always relevant, and I'll look at it again because I've driven by the site and spent
Yeah.
time at the site, and so it's
I'm not suggesting design it like that.
no,
I'm just saying
but it's always
take that context
the context is
into
important.
mind. And I mean,
But that's an interesting point. though.
Eitan mentioned the Amazon warehouse, but
Yeah.
you really can't see that. Instead, you've got this facade that, was designed to look good in the 1950s. And maybe just keep that in mind as you're doing this, so that we aren't causing accidents. Like, what?
So that's interesting though, because there are sometimes as a designer you try to like work it in, like some in certain of our districts we like there to be matching brick or things to kind of work into it, whereas I kind of see this as the opposite of, like, I kind of want it to stand out and be different.
And that may be the case,
You
but
know.
stand out in a way that's not like accidentally jarring.
Okay. Okay. No pink polka dots.
Like, geez, we should have noticed what's across the street.
Yeah. Okay. It's an interesting. Yeah. I don't think we want to. Yeah. It's an interesting idea. Okay. Cool.
Great.
Any other kind of questions from us?
I actually just had one minor comment on the parking. I was just curious, are you planning to stripe like a crosswalk going from the residential parking to the building? I'm just thinking in terms of people wrapping around the building, that knowing that people are like essentially, if that's intended for residential and they're wrapping around.
Oh, I see
See
what you're
what I'm
saying. So someone coming from like the back
Yeah.
of residential parking to
Yep.
the door,
Yeah.
and there's a commercial
Yep.
user doing a loop.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a very great point. Let me look at that.
Okay.
And see if that's something we can integrate.
And also, so where are the handicap spots? Is that right there?
Yep. So there's a bank of 4 right there for the residents, and then I got 2 in the front, and kind of trying to centrally locate them close to those doors.
Yeah, I think I think Sean's point is well taken. So what we did, Ryan, you didn't work on the. I don't think you were. I think it was maybe John was here on the child care center at the old at Hokkaido, but we required a crosswalk because it was going to be a child care center now, and medical offices, and people were walking their kids. We don't have that necessarily concern, but if you have 2 bedrooms, there is a likelihood of children, and it would, for safety, it's probably a good idea to at least have one kind of designated area where people can walk. They may not always do it, but at least they have that opportunity.
Yep.
Doesn't necessarily have to be raised, or it doesn't have to be separated, but at least kind of striped and laid out, whereas this is kind of the place that you should be crossing, and so cars seeing that
Right.
slow down.
Yeah.
Would be
No,
good
that's a
idea.
good point.
Thank you, Tom. Okay. Anything more from the applicants before we take public comment? Okay, I think a good start. Okay, is there any members of the, so this is how public comment works. If you have a comment or a question, no one is required to come up, but if you'd like to come up and give us something to ask or to consider as we deliberate and as we go through the process, you're more than welcome to come up. Please state your name, where you live, then you can tell me and the board if there's anything that you want to just tell us. If you have any questions, direct them to the board, and then either we'll answer them if it's about the process, or we'll ask the applicant to answer them if appropriate. So, is there any members of the public that wish to make a comment or ask a question? No, seeing none. Fantastic. Okay, that is fine. If at any point during the process, so there will be multiple hearings, we still have to get through some of the stormwater. We have to have our questions answered. There will be more questions that come up as we go back and forth with traffic and with some of the other boards as this goes forward. You can submit questions or comments online to our planning director at jenright@northandoverma.gov, right? Okay. JENRIGHT. I had to say it every day for 2 years. You'd think I know, but JENRIGHT at northandoverma.gov. Or you can come into any meeting, and there will be time available for public comment.
Any thought of a site visit?
I was thinking about it, but why don't we see the pictures and the drawings and where we're at, and then decide next time. I was thinking about it.
No.
So why don't we have that discussion? If you could remind me, let's have that discussion next time, and if we think it's appropriate, we'll decide to do a site visit. Okay.
Just
Right.
one quick question. Would you prefer to have the traffic engineer present maybe at the next meeting, or would you prefer to?
If it's ready, yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's possible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think
That was good with them.
either, I don't think we'll necessarily be ready to vote next time, but I think, I think we still have a little ways to go, but I think as soon as it's ready, let's get it, and then, because then there are questions that need to be answered.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we're still waiting for traffic comments to come back.
Right.
I think
We
the
haven't gotten
proposal estimated 4 weeks from the time I
Yeah.
give them the get-go, which
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Probably only
we're
2
still
weeks
waiting
ago.
for those.
So I think it should be after we have the peer review done. It doesn't make sense to do it,
Right.
get the peer review, and then have questions from the peer review that can't be answered. So once the peer review's done, I think then we bring in traffic.
Okay.
Next meeting is November 18th.
Yep.
We'll put it on the agenda for November 18th. If for some reason there's not enough to do or things are still being in process, then you can always continue until the next date.
So the stormwater review's been to you for, I think, at least 2 weeks, so I would anticipate you'll be able to respond to that by the next meeting.
Yeah, for getting materials back to the town so they can be reviewed at the meeting, what would be the latest I could get material back for the November 18th meeting?
The Thursday before,
Thursday before?
yeah, at noon, to be included, but if you're referring to the stormwater response, you can respond to her at any time, just copy me on your response.
Yep, yeah, we're nearing the end of those stormwater comments. We're
Okay.
wrapping them up now. So we should be able to get those submitted back to her and to the town soon.
Okay.
But you'll, in order to have us do anything with that, they need to be submitted to her, and then she needs to review them
Yeah.
and sign off on them. If you've just submitted
Right.
them, that's great, but that doesn't do us any good at a hearing.
Yep, understood.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Keep moving forward. Thank you very much for the process. Thank you to everyone who attended and participated. We appreciate it. Okay, so continued until November 18th, 2025. Meeting minutes. Can we get a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 21st, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Anything before we adjourn? Nothing? Can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Give it to Sean. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Approved. Thank you very much.